Hello and good Monday evening, Chicago. Boy, have we got a lot of different things to talk about. The NFL managed to make it all the way through the regular season and the playoffs, and now there's a Super Bowl coming up, and Tom Brady is going to be in it. Oh boy, that we now get 2 weeks to hype Brady versus Mahomes. That's going to be something to talk about. We'll get into that tonight. But we've got some stories that are closer to home, and we'll get to those tonight too. Welcome into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So what are those local things we're going to be talking about? Well, the Bulls have got a game at home tonight against the Boston Celtics. Can they turn things around after getting drubbed and manhandled by the defending champion Celtics? We'll talk about that and do a little bit of preview on the game. Also, the Cubs officially said goodbye to Jon Lester, with Lester going and signing with the Washington Nationals last week. We'll talk about that, plus what that pitching staff looks like now for the Cubs, and some other moves and rumors that are going around with the Northsiders. But first, on the ice, the Blackhawks got off the schneid. They got back-to-back wins. Yes, it was just against the lowly Red Wings, but hey, they hadn't won before this weekend. Let's talk some pucks to start things off. This is Chi-Town Weekly. Go ahead, sit down, get comfortable. Let's have some fun. Let's go. And welcome in again to Chi-Town Weekly. My name is Adam Karnick. I am your host. I am so glad that you are here spending some time here with me, whether you're listening later on in the week as a podcast or if you are listening live right now on Spreaker. If you are listening live, go ahead and jump right on into the chat. Taryn Rodriguez is in there already. Hello, Taryn. Defending champion Celtics. Did I misspeak? The Bulls are playing the Celtics tonight, but they of course lost to the Lakers over the weekend. We will get into that a little bit later on in the show. So yes, if you are listening live, go ahead, log on into the Spreaker app. It's free, doesn't cost you a dime. Make yourself a username and hop on into the chat. We can talk back and forth and have a little bit of fun that way. Or if you just want to sit back and listen, that of course works too. We've got, of course, a little bit of housekeeping to go on before we go too much further. We start with our sponsors, and we've got several of those here this week on IE Sports Radio. First up is Legacy Financial. Last year was a tough year. However, staying positive, keeping your faith, and continuing to work hard is the goal. If you're in a financial struggle at the moment and you need some help, or if you're doing well and you want to take things to the next level, either way, give them a call. Also, if you're looking for a new opportunity to work for yourself and earn more money part-time, give them a call. You can call AO at 510-928-2104 to book your appointment today. Andrew and AO are just two people on a mission to help families build a legacy. That's Legacy Financial. Follow them on Twitter at legacy_uncut or on Instagram at sims_uncut. And then we've got several new sponsors this week. First up, Mom is Always Right Media. Boy, isn't that the truth. Are you feeling overwhelmed with schoolwork? Those essays keeping you up at night? Don't lose sleep. Just pick up the phone. Mom is Always Right Writing Agency will give you quality essays, and we always make our deadlines. Sleep soundly knowing we are on the job. For more information, call 626-653-3649 for Mom is Always Right Media. They also do podcasts over there at Mom Is Always Right. It goes down in the PM. Make sure you check out the new episode of It Goes Down in the PM, brought to you by Mom Is Always Right Media, where we help you open your business from start to finish. Also, Coffee After Dark. Don't miss the next chapter of your favorite love story. Check out the Season 2 premiere of Coffee After Dark, brought to you by Mom Is Always Right Media, where we help you open your business from start to finish. And by the way, Right is W-R-I-T-E. And then also new this week, the Sports Rundown. Are you a sports fan but have too much going on in your life these days to keep up with the 24/7 sports news cycle? Or maybe you are new to sports and want to understand the nuances better. If so, then the Sports Rundown is for you. We are a new podcast that gives you basic professional and collegiate sports news, stats, tidbits, and fun facts by the time you get to work, start that second cup of coffee, or finish walking the dog. Enough information to make you dangerous while talking about current sporting events, and we will teach you something fun along the way, like about mascots, uniforms, history, feel-good stories, and sports rules. We even cover the Premier League. New episodes drop Monday and Friday mornings, so come give us a listen. And then, of course, ways to interact with IE Sports Radio. You could follow along on Twitter at IE Sports Radio, Instagram at IE Sports Radio, Facebook, search IE Sports Radio, or just log on to our website, www.iesportsradio.com. And then ways to interact with this show on Twitter. You can follow along with Chi-Town Weekly at IESRC. That's a relatively new Twitter handle. That's at IESRC on Twitter. Or if you want to follow along with my personal page, you can follow along on Twitter at Adam_Karnick. Whew, that was a lot to get through this week. Well, thank you to all the sponsors, especially the new ones, Mom Is Always Right Media and the new sports podcast. Thank you guys so much for help sponsoring IE Sports Radio. Now let's get down to business. The Chicago Blackhawks. Coming into the weekend, the Hawks were a little bit rough. They had dropped their first 3 games straight out, 2 to Tampa Bay and 1 to Florida. And then for the finale in Florida, turned to making his NHL debut. Kevin Lankinen got the start for the finale in Florida, and the Blackhawks managed to squeak out a point. Lost 5-4, but it was in overtime, so they finally got a standings point. Then over the weekend, they come home and have their home ice debut on United Center and get 2 wins against the hated Detroit Red Wings. 4-1 on Friday night and then 6-2 yesterday. And 2 big stories out of the weekend. Of course, rookie forward P.U. Suter not only got his first career goal in the win yesterday, he wasn't content with that. He went ahead and got his first 3 career goals in that game against the Red Wings yesterday, getting a hat trick. He's the first Blackhawk to score a hat trick the same night he got his first goal since Bill Kendall back in 1933. Anytime you can make a reference to 1930s anything in sports, you either did something really, really bad or really, really good. And in this case for P.U. Suter, it's really, really cool getting a hat trick, his first time out scoring in the National Hockey League. Suter is a rookie from Switzerland, and interestingly enough, he comes from the same league that Dominik Kubalik came over from last year before he had a monster rookie season for the Hawks. So the Hawks having some success finding European players, and certainly coming over from Switzerland, having some success there. Yeah, and Taryn mentions in the chat, the Dead Wings, they never cease to help out struggling teams. Yes, albeit the Blackhawks are on a 3-game point streak and a 2-game winning streak. Admittedly, 4 of the 5 points have come against the Red Wings, but hey, you take them where you can get them when you're the Blackhawks right now. They needed the help that they could get. They got it. Good for them. And you saw this weekend just better rounded play. The power play was working better. They were 3 for 6 on the power play. The penalty killing unit was outstanding compared to where they were. Just 2 power play goals allowed. Both of those came yesterday. They stopped 8 out of 10 Red Wings power play opportunities. That's phenomenal. Obviously, 10 penalties is a lot to take in 2 games. And I saw a quote from Jeremy Colleton talking about that the refs were calling things a little bit tighter than had been called in the last few games for the Hawks down in Florida against Tampa Bay and against the Panthers. So obviously you got to adjust. 10 penalties is a lot. You got to work on that. You don't want to strain this power play unit like that, but they were up for the task. I see Larry's in the chat. Good evening, Larry. I hope all things are well. Larry is, of course, our head boss and honcho here at IE Sports. So it's always nice for him to take time out of his busy day tracking down new talent and tracking down sponsorships to spend time in the shows. And he's going to be getting busy later this week too. He's of course always busy with 3 and Out, and he's got his new show that he does now on Fridays with his girlfriend Cecilia, the Sports Couples Perspectives. They talk about all kinds of sports and try to get all kinds of different angles and different thoughts on some of the big sports stories of the day. And then I thought I saw in here, looking through the list of shows for the week, I thought I saw, Larry, that the Defining Moment is coming back. Aha, indeed it is. Tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock Central Time, or 12 o'clock in the East, or Larry likes to get up early in the morning, 9 o'clock out West, doing the Defining Moment, coming back and doing all sports all the time. So thank you, Larry, for hopping on into the chat. But then back to the hockey conversation we were having. So the Blackhawks having a little bit more success on the power play. They also, the game yesterday, 4 of their 6 goals were 5-on-5 or even ice scoring. They had scored only 4 of those goals through the first 5 games of the season combined. So to have 4 even ice goals yesterday was big. Hopefully that's a sign of hopefully the offense starting to gel and come together, though there could be a kink in that, and I'll get to that here in a minute. But before we get into the future, I wanted to talk about Kevin Lankinen, who has started each of the last 3 games for the Hawks and is now 2-0-1 as a starter this season. He had a monster weekend. He stopped almost 95% of the shots he faced against Detroit, 30 saves on Friday night, and then 25 saves yesterday afternoon, 55 saves total on 58 shots. Our colleague, Ben Pope, who I had on the show last week to give us kind of a little bit of a Blackhawks preview, or I'm sorry, I guess that was 2 weeks ago that Ben was on to talk about the Blackhawks. He came out with a great story earlier this morning talking about Lankinen and how he went from being 4th string on the Blackhawks goalie depth chart up to starting this season, making his NHL debut against the Panthers last week, and now he's starting to look very comfortable in net. Lankinen and I retweeted the story out on both my personal page and also on the show's Twitter feed. So if you missed it in one, you can catch it on the other. And again, follow along on Twitter. Lankinen was part of the bubble for the Blackhawks this past summer in August when they were doing the expanded playoff bubble out in Edmonton. Lankinen was part of that. He knew, all right, there's no way I'm actually going to see the ice. I'm the fourth goalie. There's no way I'm actually getting out there. But rather than just kind of sit back and munch on popcorn and eat hot dogs and just watch the games, he was studying. He took the opportunity to say, hey, I've got the entire Western Conference playoffs are happening right here in Edmonton. I've got an opportunity to study all these goalies. And he did. He looked, obviously, Corey Crawford, Marc-Andre Fleury, Robin Lehner, etc., and so on throughout the expanded playoffs. He watched and he studied each of those goalies and kept notes and kept track. And, oh, so that's what this guy does in this situation. And not just, okay, when shots are coming at you rapid fire, but also looking at what do they do when the play is away from them, when the play is in his team's offensive zone. How does he react? How engaged does he stay? What is he doing to keep himself busy and make sure that he doesn't get caught napping? And it's obviously it's paid off. And he learned some new tips and tricks, went back and worked with a trainer in the off season. He also worked with another goalie in the NHL to prepare himself mentally and physically, and just what do I need to do to make it in the NHL, and so that when I wind up out on the ice for that first time, the moment doesn't overwhelm me. And it's obviously paid off for him. That was the other goalie that he spent time with was Columbus Blue Jackets goalie Jonas Korpisalo, who they've been friends off and on for the last 10 years, growing up together. And it's starting to pay off for Lankinen. His first two NHL wins over the weekend. Obviously, he has kind of grabbed the starting netminder spot here for the Hawks and is going to run with it now for a little bit, and good for him. That's going to be exciting to watch his maturation and his development throughout this rebuilding season that the Hawks are under. The Hawks next play tomorrow night in Nashville, and we found out just about an hour ago that unfortunately the Hawks are going to be a little short-handed for that game. Adam Boqvist and Alex DeBrincat both got placed on the NHL's COVID list this evening. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have COVID. It means that they have been in close they have tested positive, or they've been around people that have tested positive, or they've come into contact tracing. But for whatever reason, those guys are not going to be available, certainly for the first match in Nashville tomorrow, and possibly for we don't know how long. They're going to be out for a bit. The two of them actually do live together, so that explains why both of them are on the list. Hopefully they're going to be back soon. Hopefully they'll be able to. Those two guys will be back for this weekend series against those Columbus Blue Jackets. But in the meantime, Adam Boqvist and Alex DeBrincat will miss probably both games in Nashville tomorrow and Wednesday. So we'll see what comes of the Hawks weekend there. and then Taryn jumping into the chat. We're going to take a quick break, but as we do, Taryn hopping in, as long as I was mentioning the defining moment tomorrow, Set Point, Taryn's awesome volleyball show that he does, is going to be at a different time tomorrow. He is going to be at 1 o'clock Central Time, and any Northwestern fans out there are definitely going to want to tune in, as former Northwestern star Emily Amon is going to return as a guest. Taryn had her on a few weeks ago, but she's going to come back to talk some more Northwestern volleyball and just kind of break down Big Ten volleyball as a whole on there. So be sure to check out Set Point tomorrow at 1 o'clock Central Time. All right, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have another now former Cub to reminisce about, and then a possible trade rumor I saw for the Cubs over the weekend. There could be all kinds of big things happening for the Northsiders as we get into this season. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome in to the Neutral Zone. I'm your host, Robert Kavanaugh, and you're listening to IE Sports Radio. If you like big, nasty hits, if you like slap chop straight to the neck, if you like it when the gloves hit the ice and the big boys get down, then this is your show. On IE Sports Radio, this is the Neutral Zone. May our shots on goal always be true and straight to the net. If they are not, may they be followed up, redirected, or change collected. Let's go on IE Sports Radio with me, your host, Robert Kavanaugh, and this is the Neutral Zone.
Lopan, they didn't even want you. Heck, they didn't even want me. But you know what? Right about now, they have no choice. Looking for the real sports talk? Talk that's for us, the people? Look no further. The Wait a Minute Show, a prime time sports comedy cocktail that tucks you in at night. Join me and Lopan Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 2livestewsradio.com and Saturday 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the waitaminuteShow.com. Sounds like a plan to me. Ain't that right, Lopan?
Indeed.
Hi everybody, it's Calvin here from USRN, here to give you an important message. Since 2017, we have done our absolute best to provide you with nothing but the highest quality of sports calls in the greatest of quantity possible. Thanks to you, our station has grown more than we ever thought. That's why, with your help, we would like to grow even further. Just think, twice the amount of your favorite calls, 24 hours of coverage, talk shows, play-by-play, game-by-game analysis, and so much more. That's right, USRN2 is officially in development. But we can't do it alone. We have set up a GoFundMe page that you can access from our homepage on the left of your screen. We also are planning special giveaways and prizes to our highest donors. Our goal here at USRN is to bring you the best calls possible at no cost to you. In order to continue to do that, we need your help now. Please check out our GoFundMe page, and if you would like to know how you can help, you can email usrnradio@gmail.com. Without your support, we couldn't do what we do.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. I love coming in on that music off of the Gloves Off show. That is just such awesome music to come in off of. Marcus does an awesome job. That is our MMA and boxing show. He does that every week. He started back up. Last week or 2 weeks ago he came back. He always takes a little bit of a hiatus in December, but he is back now. So Tuesdays, 9 o'clock Central. If you are at all a boxing or an MMA guy, you definitely want to check out that show, Gloves Off with Marcus Los Great. I love coming back in on that music too. It just always gets me energized. And then Taryn in the chat, he mentioned that Northwestern women's volleyball went undefeated over the weekend. They handled Rutgers over the weekend. They've got a big matchup coming up this coming weekend against number 5 ranked Nebraska. So I'm sure that that's something that Taryn and Emily Amon are going to be talking about tomorrow on Set Point. So again, Set Point at a 1 o'clock Central Time tomorrow show on Spreaker here on IE Sports Radio. Check it out. Taryn does an awesome job with that. So last week, I think it was either Tuesday or Wednesday, I know it's shortly after the show last week, it became official that Jon Lester was not going to be coming back to the Cubs. We kind of assumed and figured that was going to be the case when the Cubs declined his option after last season. And they had left the door open that, we might bring Lester back, but let's face it, I think everybody kind of knew that wasn't going to happen. And then Lester last week made it official, signing a 1-year deal with the Washington Nationals to go pitch in D.C. He'll rejoin Kyle Schwarber there. It's a little frustrating because, again, Lester had indicated he wanted to stay in Chicago. In fact, was willing to take less money than what Washington offered to stay with the Cubs, but the Cubs decided that no, they wanted to spend their money elsewhere, or rather they just don't want to be spending money. But Jon Lester has got to go down as certainly the best Cubs free agent signing, and maybe the best Chicago free agent signing ever. In 6 years with the Cubs, Lester made 171 starts, career record of 77 and 44, 4 complete games, and he brought legitimacy to the Cubs when he signed on back in 2015. He helped bring legitimacy to the program, to what the Cubs were doing, to say, yes, this is a team that is ready to compete, is going to be good for a while. I want to be part of this. I want to be on this team with this organization on this ride. And of course, it culminated with him being maybe not always the ace of the staff, because Jake Arrieta went crazy there for that couple of years, but certainly he was the leader, not only on that pitching staff, but in that clubhouse. He was a veteran presence to help a very young team learn how to win and how to handle success and how to get there. And, of course, he brought along current Cubs manager David Ross along with him. So you have to celebrate and be excited for that. So, to Lester, thank you for 6 amazing seasons on the North Side, and best of luck to you going forward. And I hope that we're all in a situation at some point this season that whenever the schedule comes out and whenever the Nationals come to Wrigley Field, I hope it's at a point where fans are allowed in the stands safely and there can be a crowd there to give Lester the ovation that he never got at the end of last year. That would be a tremendous sight that day. Also last week, we heard that Jose Quintana signed a deal with the Angels to go pitch out in Los Angeles, and that Tyler Chatwood left the Cubs to go pitch for the Blue Jays. So now what does the Cubs pitching staff look like? Well, I am on Cubs.com right now to look at this rotation. And I don't know about you, but none of this necessarily makes me feel all warm and fuzzy and just excited. All right, Kyle Hendricks. Obviously, he now becomes the ace of your staff. Then they have Zach Davies. All right, he pitched a little bit for the Cubs last year. Alec Mills. All right, he did a little bit for the Cubs last year. Had some things that he did. Adbert Alzolay. All right, he's been up or down a little bit. Yeah, he's shown some flashes. He's also shown some signs that he's got a long way to go. Then Tyson Miller and Braylon Marquez round out the staff. That is a far cry from guys like Hendricks and Yu Darvish and Lester going out there and throwing for you. Excuse me, I had something come into my throat there and I had to clear it. I didn't want you to hear the sounds of me coughing. So excuse me for that momentary silence there. But all in all, not exactly a formidable on paper looking pitching staff that the Cubs are now boasting and throwing out there. And then I saw over the weekend a rumor flying around. The Blue Jays have kind of entered the conversation of being a team that's actually going to try and win the World Series this year. I know I ranted about this a few weeks ago, that there's only 4 teams that are actively trying to win the World Series. Well, now we're up to 5. A big whopping 5 teams in Major League Baseball are trying to win the World Series. I know, it's incredible. It's what a concept that you actually want to win the game. Herm Edwards, you play to win the game? Well, apparently not in MLB. You play to tank. But the Blue Jays have decided that they want to actually try and win this season. And so word came out that they might be interested in, and the Cubs might be interested in trading them, Chris Bryant and Kyle Hendricks. And I saw that, and I was a mix between my heart sinking and wanting to wrangle somebody in the Cubs front office and just go, what are you doing? If you get rid of Hendricks off of that staff, and what? Alec Mills, okay, yeah, he had a no-hitter last year up in Milwaukee. Yeah, Adbert Alzolay has had some success, but what? Then you're going to have Zach Davies be your ace? Who in the world is going to be... What are you doing with this pitching staff? You've got to do something with this staff. I guess it would have to be Zach Davies, because he's actually started a few seasons anyway. He hasn't just been 1 or 2 years in Major League Baseball. He's been in the league since 2015, but it's not like he's somebody that, all right, yeah, this is somebody that is going to be the ace of your staff. But it all comes back to they painted themselves into a corner with Chris Bryant. Everybody knows that they want to trade Chris Bryant, so they can't get what they could have gotten for Chris Bryant had they traded him maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So they're trying to recoup some of those losses by just adding in good players along with their bad players. It kind of reminds me a little bit of when the Blackhawks a couple years ago, and I'm going to blank on the forward's name. This is terrible. Brian Bickle, when the Blackhawks realized they had to trade away Brian Bickle, who was a big, tough forward who in the playoffs was this great park in front of the goalie and just agitate the opposing netminder, which is great in the postseason, but in the regular season he was absolutely useless. But they gave him way too much money, and then the only way they could trade him was they had to give away Teuvo Teravainen, who was one of their great young, controllable assets. It was the only way the Blackhawks could recoup anything of quality back for getting rid of a bad player. And I feel that's almost where the Cubs are at now with Chris Bryant. Is the only way they're going to be able to get a haul worth something to them for trading away Chris Bryant is they're going to have to trade away more than Chris Bryant. And so Kyle Hendricks, your ace, they're going to move on from him too. And I see Taryn commented with just a question mark. Well, there's a lot of things I just said there that I guess could pose a question mark. So I'm not sure what exactly that's about. But yeah, the Cubs could not only be trading Chris Bryant to the Blue Jays, which admittedly they're looking for help at third base. They could send their ace along with him to try to get some minor leaguers. And if the Yu Darvish trade was any indication, not necessarily guys that are going to be major league ready this year. And look at the players that the Cubs have gotten rid of this season. Jon Lester, talked about him. Yu Darvish, just mentioned him. Quintana and Chatwood, 2 other pitchers. Kyle Schwarber, they got rid of. Albert Almora Jr. And What have you gotten to show for it for losing all that veteran talent? A bunch of teenagers that maybe 3 or 4 years down the road might turn into something. But you have no idea, because between the 4 of them, they have one North American professional game between them. It's just very frustrating. Oh, and now I understand. Taryn was asking a question, but he forgot to type the question mark. So Taryn asks, between the Cubs and the White Sox, which team has the best chance to make the playoffs, and which team will have the better season record-wise? I'll deal with the second half of that first. Who's going to have the better record? No question, it's the White Sox. The White Sox are going to be not only a force to be reckoned with in the American League Central, they are going to be, I think, the American League champions this year. Until the Blue Jays decided just here within the last week that they were going to try to make a run for it, the White Sox were the only team in the American League actively looking to increase talent and actively try to win their division and go for the pennant this year. So no doubt about it, the White Sox are going to have the better record. As for which team has the better chance to make the playoffs, I'll come back to the Cubs here for a second. The Cubs have done all this, obviously, to slash payroll because of the Ricketts family financial problems. But it's still not going to work, because I feel like they've gotten rid of all these players and they've gotten rid of all this money. They might still win the National League Central despite their best efforts simply by default, mainly because the rest of the National League Central sucks. And everybody is trying to tank to get to the bottom. You just had the Pirates give away their best pitcher for nothing. They gave Jameson Taillon to the Yankees basically as a, here's a player we no longer want to pay. Take him, please. Milwaukee has done nothing. The Cardinals have done nothing. The Reds have shed payroll because they're a small market team, so their window for success only lasts 1 or 2 seasons. The Cubs, even without all these players that I just mentioned, and basically with only, at best, 2 or 3 Major League ready starters, might still win 82 or 83 games, which might be enough to win the National League Central this year. They won't go anywhere once they make the playoffs, but we might see both teams on both sides of town make the Major League, make baseball playoffs this year, assuming they ever have a season. I saw that they still haven't decided when spring training is going to start, so we may have a delay to the start of the season, but eventually they'll get there. And then Taryn comments, the NL Central is basically the NFC East of baseball. Basically, it's a tank division. Unfortunately, Taryn, and I've mentioned this previously, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I see I'm up against a break. Unfortunately, that's basically baseball right now, is everybody's trying to tank. Everybody's trying to get to the bottom because the owners are all trying to cry poor that we didn't make as much money as we would have liked last season due to the pandemic. So everybody's trying to tank with a couple small exceptions and pockets here and there. That's just unfortunate. That's the reality of Major League Baseball right now. All right, I am right up against a break. Coming out of it, the Bulls are playing tonight, so we're going to talk a little bit about the Bulls and the Celtics and also talk about just the Bulls weekend, how they've been looking the last few games. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Back in just a minute.
Hello and welcome to the Soccer Scoreboard Show with your host, Gabriel Montoya. This is the show for soccer, football fans, or whatever you call the beautiful game. Every week I tackle the latest and greatest news from around the soccer world, from the English Premier League to the World Cup to MLS, Liga MX, and more. You can listen to the Soccer Scoreboard Show and our lineup of fantastic guests every Friday at noon here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey USRN fans, do you have a product or company you're trying to promote? Look no further. USRN is teaming up with small local businesses trying to establish themselves via online promotion. Let us know if you're interested. Email us at usrnradio@gmail.com to learn more.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. We're going to go through our sponsors again for this week real quick before we talk about the Bulls and Celtics tonight. Legacy Financial. Last year was a tough year. However, staying positive, keeping your faith, and continuing to work hard is the goal. If you're in a financial struggle at the moment and you need some help, or if you're doing well and you want to get to the next level, either way, give them a call. Also, if you're looking for a new opportunity to work for yourself and earn more money part-time, you can reach out and call them. Call AO at 510-928-2104 to book your appointment today. Andrew and AO are just 2 people on a mission to help families build a legacy. Follow them on Twitter at legacy_uncut or on Instagram at sims_uncut. And then we have Mom is Always Right Media. That's WRITE. Are you feeling overwhelmed with schoolwork? Those essays keeping you up at night? Don't lose sleep. Just pick up the phone. Mom is Always Right Writing Agency will give you quality essays, and we always make our deadlines. Sleep soundly knowing we are on the job. For more information, call 626-653-3649. And they also do podcasts over at Mom is Always Right Media. It goes down in the PM. Make sure you check out the new episode of It Goes Down in the PM, brought to you by Mom is Always Right Media, where we help you open your business from start to finish. Also, Coffee After Dark. Don't miss the next chapter of your favorite love story. Check out the Season 2 premiere of Coffee After Dark, brought to you by Mom is Always Right Media, where we help you open your business from start to finish. And then the Sports Rundown. Are you a sports fan but have too much going on in your life these days to keep up with the 24/7 sports news cycle? Or maybe you are new to sports and want to understand the nuances better. If so, then the Sports Rundown is for you. We are a new podcast that gives you basic and professional collegiate sports, news, stats, tidbits, and fun facts by the time you get to work, start that second cup of coffee, or finish walking the dog. Enough information to make you dangerous while talking about current sporting events, and we will teach you something fun along the way, like about mascots, uniforms, history, feel-good stories, and sports rules. We even cover the Premier League. New episodes drop Monday and Friday mornings, so come give us a listen. That is the Sports Rundown, and thank you again to all those sponsors. If you would like to sponsor us here at IE Sports Radio, you can go to ko-fi.com/IE Sports Radio, and you can either support us as an individual, or if you have a business or a product that you'd like to promote, you can do things there as well. All right, Bulls and Celtics. So, this is the first meeting this season between the two teams. They were supposed to meet back on the 12th, and then COVID happened, and all that went through. The Celtics are coming in after a thorough handling of Cleveland over the weekend, whereas the Bulls are coming in off of a bit of a loss to the hands of the defending champion Lakers. I'm not surprised that the Bulls got beaten up by Los Angeles a little bit, and I do mean beaten up. They got held to a season low, just 90 points on the night. They only scored 33 points in the first half. They were trailing by 30 at one point to the Lakers. Yeah, the Bulls, they've been doing well as of late. They had come into that game on a 3-game winning streak. They had put up over 120 points each of their last 3 games of their winning streak. They'd scored over 115 in 7 games in a row. Zach LaVine and Patrick Williams are really starting to light things up and look good and work together. And this whole team is just starting to look and function and act like a team, and like people know what they're doing when they're running them. But still, you run into the defending champs, LeBron, Anthony Davis especially, always loves to put on a good show when he comes home to Chicago. That was kind of expected. Maybe not quite the beatdown to the extent that it was, but certainly, they're just not on the same level as the Lakers. They're not there yet. The Celtics, we'll see. We'll see what happens. The Celtics are expected to get one of their top players back tonight, Jalen Thomas. I want to make sure that I have the name right. I'm sorry, my notes jumped around on me a little bit here. I'm sorry, Jason Tatum should be coming back tonight. He's been out since January 8th with COVID, so tonight should be his first game back. Sounds like they've really been kind of bringing him back slowly. Coach Brad Stevens said he's been working out with the team the last few days, but held him out of games just as a precaution. He does anticipate that Tatum will play. Tatum's been averaging about 27 points a game. We'll see what comes from tonight. The Celtics are a little bit closer on the Bulls level, but still a team that certainly over the long haul should be able to handle the Bulls. But, if Levine gets hot, or if Williams gets hot, or if Otto Porter Jr. comes back and plays tonight, there is some question over whether or not he'll play tonight. They could give him a run for their money. When you play even just 72 of these things in a shortened season, every now and then a team's going to surprise you. Taryn points out, hey, the Knicks beat the Celtics. Hey, the Knicks beat anybody, then, certainly the Bulls can. So we'll see how things go at the United Center tonight. On a personal standpoint, I'd love for Zach LaVine to go off a little bit. I've got him in my fantasy team, and I'd love to have some extra points there from that. But nobody wants to hear about my fantasy team, so I'll get off of that. But the Bulls have been looking better. They've been looking better of late. The 7 games in a row of scoring 115 points, getting over 120 over their 3-game winning streak. And the big thing that will also indicate how much success they have tonight is when they're winning, they're not turning the ball over. That's been a key indicator for the Bulls all season long. When their offense is working and when they're clicking together, they're not turning the ball over. They had 19 turnovers against the Lakers, and that was kind of the, oh boy, that this is not going to go well because they're not hanging on to the ball. If they can hold on to the ball tonight and not commit those mental errors, then they'll have a good chance. They'll have a shot tonight against the Celtics. It's certainly going to be worth keeping an eye on for sure. All right, and then, of course, I couldn't get out of here tonight without talking about the NFL. We know who our Super Bowl is going to be. Heck, we got to the Super Bowl. That in and of itself is amazing that the NFL was able to push and slog its way through to a Super Bowl. Tom Brady makes it for the 10th time, and this time it's with the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers get to be the first true home team in the Super Bowl, playing it in their stadium down there in Tampa Bay. That's going to be a heck of a story to follow for the next 2 weeks. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs just absolutely took it to the Bills yesterday. You'll be able to hear more about that on the Kansas City Shuffle tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock our time, Central Time. You'll get to hear Dave and Pesquire. I'm sure just be all kinds of excited as the Chiefs are back to the Super Bowl for the second year in a row. We've got all next week to do all kinds of diving into the Super Bowl. We will have some fun with that next week. And of course, talking the local stuff. Coming up next here on IE Sports, Mike Pat is going to whine about some sports. Let's whine about some sports. I am sure he is going to be breaking down all things NFL, looking at those championship games, recapping them a little bit. He's going to be talking about quarterbacks. He's going to be talking about NCAA basketball. He's going to be rating some different wines. Stick around for Mike right away after me tonight. And then after that, we've got a new show coming up tonight. Our new SEC show is coming up. They are going to be at 8 o'clock Central Time. Second to none. Blake Sulker, Jackson Kelly, Adam Ziski, and Chris Mangrum talking all things SEC. And then, of course, it's not Monday without the Phils. Phil Jones and Phil Robinson III doing the unfiltered truth. Check it all out, and we will be back next week. Talk to you later.